are things I found online. Radio legends are exploring the internet.
Uh-oh.
I'm Louise Palanker, plus Larry Morgan, plus Joe Cipriano, minus Joe Cipriano. So if you're doing that math at home, you've got me and Larry exploring the internet with you guys.
I was told there would be no math.
Just a little bit of math. Just a little bit. So we've got all kinds of things that we have discovered online that we are very, very eager to share with you. For example, did you know that Twitter will be doubling its character count that is allowable by tweeters?
Yeah. I think they're experimenting with it right now. Like, certain people have access to it, and not everybody does. But I have yet to see my Twitter field expand by any
I think they should roll it out by giving you an extra character at a time.
Just one extra character?
Just to keep you trying.
Oh, look. It's because I'm always challenged, because I love using ellipses. And sometimes if I can't get that third dot in there, I'm very frustrated.
You know when the count starts to turn, change colors, and then it turns red?
A lot of pressure.
It's like, what's a synonym for actually that has 4 characters?
Some sort of abbreviation I can use that would let people know I want to say onomatopoeia. I've never actually tried to use onomatopoeia.
I say start today. So,
well, if I've got double the characters, you sure as heck believe I'm going to do it.
Yeah, we're going for it. Mm-hmm. So why are they doing this? I think that the technology has been there for years to do this. The original reason had to do with some sort of technical limit.
You think so?
Yeah. Do you guys know why Twitter only had 140 characters? I think it had to do with browsers or, just something official.
I think they just they limited it because they just didn't think that Twitter was going to last longer than 6 months. And here they are years later going, I guess we better expand that a little bit. I mean, once the president started using it as his main megaphone of personal information.
Isn't that a reason to shorten the character limit?
Well, technically, yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, it certainly gets them a lot of attention.
Well, according to one article that I was reading, in Japanese, Korean, and Chinese, most words can be written in just a few characters, whereas many words in English and other languages require 5 or more characters. As a result, Twitter says that its research shows users in those East Asian countries run into far less frustration with the 140-character limit. I say that all Americans should just learn how to speak Cher.
I'm sorry?
Are you following Cher on Twitter?
Oh, are you talking about worldwide superstar and world-class entertainer Cher?
Yes, and she has learned, probably setting the example for herself by limiting the characters of her own name to 4.
Well, do we need to know any more than Cher?
No, that's about it.
No.
And
by the way, if you want to follow Cher on Twitter, she's
at Cher.
It's that simple.
I wonder how many people she had to tackle to the ground to get her name back.
How many millions did it cost to get that from? Yeah.
And so Cher is a big fan and supporter of the art of the emoji.
Yeah.
It can say a lot. And so do we have a Cher tweet to show us, Drew?
Yeah, she's clearly tweeting on her phone because she is.
So?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you want to interpret this for us, Larry?
Let's see.
You speak Cher.
I definitely do. Here's, I think the one you have up right there is, Christian nationalism can no longer be ignored. Roy Moore's win proves it. Bend over and bright red lips. You are ass good. Handshaky. RM is it? Flying object poop emoji crazy.
So now, you don't speak Cher.
Bend over and kiss your ass goodbye.
Right.
Ray Moore, is it batshit crazy? There we
go.
All right,
see how easy in one easy lesson you too can speak Cher. We have another tweet from Cher.
Yeah. Do they have the other page? There we go. Never thought anyone, number one, would try and ruin beloved football emoji, basketball emoji. But this is what happens when Trump sounds more like a racist drunk ranting at a bar than Prez. That's relatively... here's a really emoji-rich one. Will we let Americans on Puerto Rico live without water, food, shelter, connection to Earth? Walk in dirty water emoji? Drop emoji? Dam burst, praying hands for 75K people. 2 bright red exclamation points. Where's FEMA, red cross emoji, Eh,
Are you exhausted?
I am. I can't even begin
Well,
to...
You
I
see,
didn't even know do I have these emojis on my phone?
you do.
No.
And if you want to speak like Cher, we can remove the space bar.
That's true. There's
She's very efficient.
Yeah, I wonder how long it takes to compose these, or is this like a third language for her?
I believe it is.
I don't know what the second language is. I assume she speaks something else. But yeah, she clearly has this down and knows where her emojis are. I would spend 20 minutes just trying to figure out where the water drop emoji is.
Well, if you have been typing on your phone recently, and if you, for example, I asked Teresa to bring me some toilet paper. This is very personal between me and Teresa. And when I typed the word toilet, it showed me a toilet emoji. Now, how crass would it be? It's bad enough that I'm asking a woman who works for me to bring me toilet paper, but if I had actually used the toilet emoji instead of asking her to bring me, that's just so...
I did send my wife, I was making minestrone the other night. My wife was going to run to the store for us, and she said, send me the ingredients you need. And so I did attempt to use an emoji for every ingredient to make it kind of a scavenger hunt guessing game for her. Although they don't have celery, so I just use random green stuff. By the way, can we go back? And she figured it out. Can we go back? Are you telling me that you texted Teresa while you were currently not like could you go shopping for toilet paper for us, but would you bring me some? I am in a place where I currently desperately need some and don't have access to any.
No, she was doing a grocery store run.
Sure.
In fact, Teresa, did you bring me any toilet paper? Okay, yes, I got it. Can we see it?
Oh, you mean this just happened? Like
yes,
literally minutes ago?
It just happened.
All right.
Oh no, it's okay. Here.
Oh, there it is. Oh, she got
Teresa,
the Charmin Mega.
She got me some Charmin.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Teresa.
Yeah.
You look very pretty today.
Thank you.
By the way, as long as we're talking about Charmin and toilet paper,
right?
Do we have to see the bears on vacation and then the Papa Bear going, "I'll never get clean"? I don't need to hear that from him.
There's so much wrong with that campaign.
They used to be so subtle and charming. Charmin was charming.
Because you begin with sort of the sort of age-old question, does a bear something in the woods?
Right.
So you begin there, and then you're assuming that if the answer is yes, he's not in need of any toilet paper.
Right.
So they lost me there. They were pulling me along on a strand of toilet paper. It ripped along the dotted line, and I'm out. I don't get it why a bear needs such a clean butt. Because he can just wipe it in the snow.
Yeah.
Unless he's hibernating, in which case he's
use
inside.
Any leaves that are handy or whatever.
Leaves. Right.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been there, right, kids?
Right, kids? So speak share, and you'll be more efficient. And now we come to things we found online. Actual things we found online. Would you like to go first, Larry?
Sure. I would love to. I have a couple of things. One, this was very quick today because I don't know if you noticed this, Louise, but I've started to kind of let my beard grow out a little bit. And it's been a while since I've actually kind of really let that baby go. But it seems to be all the rage these days.
Scruffy fellas?
Even just like really letting it grow out. You know, the hipsters love the beards. And so I did a quick search just before coming over here just to figure out, well, there's bound to be just a generic beard site, right? Because the internet has everything. And right before I came, I found beards.org. And
Did you?
Literally just all about beards with the different tabs growing a beard, which I don't know exactly what would be under growing a beard tab, except stop shaving is like the only instruction.
Well, maybe there's like a Miracle Growth product that you spray.
Now, if there were, people would be putting that on their head.
Yeah.
There's also the tab Beard Styles, which came in handy. Beard Grooming. I think it's important to have those tips. Featured Beards, of which I hope to be someday.
Did you bring any visuals?
Well, we could look on the site if you want to. It's beards.org.
Beards.org, kids. Beards.org.
Here's a tab I'm curious about and I didn't get a chance to explore under beards.org. Success stories. And again, I'm pretty sure it's a pretty simple thing. Hey, I grew one.
I think the Smith brothers.
Good for you, Todd.
And Abraham Lincoln.
I guess maybe that means like, beards in history. I don't know. There's a beard gallery.
Oh, there we go.
There's videos. And there's
Oh, that's a success story right there.
Yeah, there we go. And then there's add your beard.
Larry, can we make it our goal to have your beard featured on this website?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I might
Okay.
be able to, if we can get a good beard picture, maybe we can add my beard, and at some point, perhaps I could be considered a beard success story at beards.org.
Dare to dream. I say we reach out to them. We tell them we featured their website on our fine podcast, and that Larry has been taking his beard growing tips and advice, cheats and hints from them.
I'm especially excited. Again, I didn't have the chance to explore the site, but I will bookmark it and make sure I go back. I can't wait to go to What's New? What's new with beards? Hey, what's going on? We've discovered some things about beard. I mean, believe me, I just thought it was something as simple as just letting the thing that grows out of your face keep going. And I understand there's grooming and trimming, and
there's
I'm used to
topiary.
that.
You can shave little designs. Is there a mustache section where you can get it really curly, like White House lawyer Ty Cobb?
That's mustache.tv.
A whole
You're
different,
in the wrong
a whole
spot.
different website. All right.
My other quick one. Now, this is not so much something I just found, but something I found it a while ago. But you and I have talked about how, in many ways, this podcast can be somewhat of a service to perhaps an older generation, an upper demo, who's kind of beginning to really embrace the idea of on-demand entertainment and podcasting and technology in general, and that we're kind of opening some doors for folks who didn't necessarily grow up with this, and this is kind of a new phase of learning for them.
Boomers and their parents.
Yeah. So I would suspect, and now maybe you have this kind of expertise, but I've never gotten Photoshop. I'm not into Photoshop. I don't have the Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
I usually have somebody in my life, somebody around me at work or home.
Who makes you look pretty.
Yeah, who knows how to do that and can put you in any circumstance. But one really great shortcut that even I have been able to figure out is a website called faceinwhole.com. And here's a prime example, for instance. Before I left, I took one of my old headshots, and I just off the top of my head, I searched under faceinwhole.com, flock of seagulls.
You did this yourself,
and
Larry?
what comes up is basically a picture of hopefully what you're looking for, and literally they have everything. And if we can go to faceinwhole.com, we can search anything you want. And I was just able to upload my headshot into their flock of seagulls template, and then you adjust it, and you can adjust the colors, and it's big, like giant play school knobs and levers. There's only like 4 steps. You can adjust the color and the contrast and the sizing and the shape, and you could put your face in Borat. You could put your face in Santa Claus.
Do they have Kim Jong-un?
I guarantee they'll have Kim Jong-un if we go to faceinwhole.com.
I would want to do that to me.
All right. So
Or
we could
Joe.
maybe we can even...
We should do it to Joe, because he's the one who decided not to join us, so it's just no holds barred.
I don't know.
We can take Joe's face.
Now I can't see anybody's face but yours.
We can take Joe's face.
There it is.
Oh, there we go.
There's Kim Jong. Yeah. So it just
Drew,
depends on which one you want to put in
Drew,
there.
go to the internet and look up Joe Cipriano, find a nice headshot of him, and we are going to Kim Jong-un him.
Yeah. If one of you guys wants to do that while we're doing the rest of the show,
like you don't
I
have
would
enough to
much
do.
rather make that a priority for you guys. I want to see that by the time we're done.
This is what happened while you were out.
Anyway, it's faceinwhole.com, and
Faceinwhole.
it has served me so well over the last several months in inter-office memos that I put out.
It sounds much naughtier than it is.
Yeah, and you can find some of those on there, too.
No, thank you.
What?
Face in a hole.
Yeah. Oh,
All right.
Awesome.
Larry, that was
Don't
wonderful.
have to have any great Photoshop skills. It's fantastic.
So, Larry, let me ask you this question. Are you a big fan of Ryan Reynolds?
I enjoy me the Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
I go back to Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place.
Right.
Which was then subsequently retitled Two Girls and a Guy.
What happened to the pizza place?
They started to edge out of there a little bit. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people think of that as early Reynolds.
Yeah.
They're wrong.
What?
There's
That's not OG Reynolds?
No. There's OG-er Reynolds.
How OG and are we going back?
Well, there was this Canadian show that I think
that's right. He's a Canuck, eh?
that they aired on Nickelodeon called 15. This show employed some actors
For those of you not watching the current live video, Wheezy just used the quotation marks
Quote fingers.
around the world. Around the word
it's
actors.
Just sweet, adorable Canadian kids who kind of like dabbled in acting.
Oh, I see.
And then there was Ryan, who was like, well, that kid is an actual actor.
Yeah.
Like he clearly stood out. He clearly stood out. And I remember seeing this on Nickelodeon. Please don't ask me why.
What?
Maybe I was homesick. I don't know. I don't have an excuse, but it registered enough in my mind for me to Google it to see if any of it has stuck to sort of any kind of, hard drive surface.
Yeah. It didn't dissipate into a fine vapor in the
Trust me, it was vulnerable.
yeah.
So
It might be fading now, like Michael J. Fox's family in Back to the Future. Hey, nice pull, huh?
like the sets were
Nobody cares. Nobody's paying attention.
The
All right,
sets
thanks,
were sort
Drew.
of like a booth where they would eat, like Seinfeld, and then a couple of lockers that they stood in front of. There were two sets, and they would go back.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, that was it.
Was this a sitcom or was it like
It was
a
just
single
like a
camera?
soap opera. It was a soap opera.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
It was a soap opera.
Well, 15. There's a lot of drama going on there.
Very dramatic.
How much
So,
of it was about skin problems?
pretty much all of it.
Yeah, every episode. Oh,
So,
that's it's getting worse.
So have you got the Ryan Reynolds? I think he's maybe a little hung up on a girl here.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Sit. Thanks, Billy. You're a sweetheart. I am? Yeah, you are. Thanks. Oh, hey, we'll see you after school. You will? Didn't Dylan tell you? I'm trying out for lead singer. Hey, that's great. No, it's not. It's crazy. It's not crazy. It's great. You'll be terrific. Billy, I'm not a singer. Well, you might not be terrific right away. I mean, I barely played drums a few weeks ago. But I'm really picking it up now. It's no problem. Billy, you can either sing or you can't. I can't. Lots of lead singers can't really sing. They just sort of fake it. See, basically, you just have to look good. And you can do that. Look good. Oh, thanks, Billy.
Way to bring it. Way to
smooth.
bring it.
You always look good, you know.
Okay.
Nice, Billy.
All
yeah,
right.
just
Now you're laying
walk
it on
away,
too thick.
Billy.
Yeah,
Walk
you
away.
should. That
Yeah.
drop the mic, walk away. Oh.
So that's a face destined for superstardom right there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh no.
that's a dream sequence. We,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
we
was hoping that wasn't the set for the fine dining restaurant.
well, you can fade
All
that
right,
out.
all
Sure.
right.
Yeah.
Oh,
right,
that's
so,
fantastic.
you
By the
know-
way, clearly he was able to work his way out of the acting technique of just an exhalation of air every other dramatic word.
It's breathily urgent.
Yeah.
Yes. So
And clearly nobody on the set told the girl who had the giant sheaf of hair hanging over on the camera side of her face to maybe push that back a
no,
little bit.
She had been to Face and Hole. that was all post.
That wasn't even her face.
That was post.
Oh, wow. God.
So we're gonna switch gears. Not really, because it's
That's it? That's
it's-
all we're going to spend on
Well, we
Ryan
were going to
Reynolds
show
15?
a video of Joe at 15, but
Oh.
Joe's not here, so
Okay.
that we'll have to save that for.
Well,
next
I should mention, and this goes in line with this somewhat, because it's funny, because this clip reminds me a little bit, because it's Canadian, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
But anybody see the Nick Kroll show on Comedy Central? They did a regular, basically a parody of a Canadian kids show that I can't remember the name of. Does anybody remember the name of it off the top of your head? But it was fantastic because it was like that. It was that kind of stilted soap opera kind of thing, but it was just ultra Canadian. It was constantly references to Canada, like their healthcare system, and you know, on and on and on. And it just so happens Nick Kroll has a new animated show that just went up on Netflix this week. That's basically all about puberty, and he's the one that got Stephen Colbert to start asking celebrities to post their pictures of themselves at like 13.
Oh, puberty me.
Yeah, hashtag puberty me, and the proceeds they're pledging money every time they do that for Puerto Rico relief.
Oh,
and
great.
if you look for those pictures, if you find them online right now, Conan O'Brien, Sarah Silverman, on and on and on. So many people have posted just totally awkward, horrible pictures of themselves. Their prom photos, their school photos, stuff their parents took.
Well, let's feature that next week.
Yeah, it's great.
So one of the kids I teach stand-up comedy to kids in Santa Barbara just for fun. It's a after-school nonprofit program that I started in 2000 with Boys and Girls Clubs here in Los Angeles. But one of the kids was talking incessantly about the show that you're referencing, and I think it's called Big Mouth.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mention the name. Yeah,
and he's
Nick Kroll, John Mulaney, a lot of really cool people in it.
And he's obsessed with it. He thinks it's hilarious. Apparently, there's this like monster called Hormones that just follows you around and says,
"Yeah, it's the hormone monster."
Yeah, the hormone monster.
It follows John Mulaney's character around constantly and is always trying to convince him to, be excused to go to the bathroom to take care of business at a moment's notice, or rub up against the girl at the dance. And it's unfortunately, it's also very true to life. I mean, clearly there are no animated hormone monsters in our young lives, but they exist.
But for kids who are currently in this age bracket and struggling with all these feelings, it's really helpful to watch a show like this and realize, like, oh, this is not only normal, it's hilarious. And so,
well, that's what the whole show is about, which is, one, kids at that age are developing at completely different phases. You may be both 13, but one of you is incredibly hairy and feeling like, again, for the listening audience, Louise raised her hand at that. That was an involuntary response. And others are developing a little slower and don't have the same urges, don't have the same metabolism going on, haven't developed at the same phase. In that way, in a very broad, funny, and crude way, it is incredibly educational, and it's literally about kids not wanting to talk about the things that they could be talking about, just that they know they're all going through it. It's actually really well done.
We will all check that out for next week.
Big Mouth.
More homework. So, Larry.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with a concept that we like to call fan fiction?
Oh, yes. It's one of the greatest things ever invented.
Can you tell me when you became familiar with fan fiction?
Honestly, I didn't realize how much of it was going on until I think it was the Twilight series, where I kept hearing people talking about, basically civilians, non-writers, fans of that series, writing so much extra material about what they would like to see those characters do, how they would like to have their stories continue, or take them off in very unusual paths. And then it turns out I've been 20 years behind this whole idea.
Yes, this was...
Or more.
This was an early feature of the internet. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know how far back fan fiction goes exactly, but I was first introduced to it by way of Bruce Goldberg's daughter, Rebecca, who's a brilliant person, now a grown-up, but as an adolescent, she was sort of obsessed with Smallville fan fiction. She was both a writer and a reader of the art form.
All right.
And she was a little shy about it, but, I thought, well, that's really kind of creative and wonderful that...
Well, it's interesting you say shy about it, because I think that's one of the things that almost existed in some weird dark underworld of the early internet, because it seems strange to say, I'm going to write My Little Pony fan fiction that exists. I'm going to write Beanie Baby fan fiction that exists. I'm not kidding. It's all out there. And because people are going to think you're a little cuckoo of kind of taking these little flights of fantasy about inanimate objects or already pre-existing fictional characters that you're spending a lot of extra time thinking about.
So when I first looked into fan fiction is when we were doing a podcast called Wheezy and the Swish with myself and Laura Swisher. And I found some American Idol fan fiction that was so delicious. It created the love we longed to see between Simon and Paula.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And so he walks into a hotel room, and she's just happening to take a bath, and oops, I'm sorry, I thought this was my room. Cut to. Anyway, it was glorious.
Don't stop.
I don't want to give it away.
Don't stop.
But fan fiction, as I looked into it for this week, it's just where we left it. The interface, you guys... Can you cut to the link?
They haven't changed the site since 1994.
Yeah, it's like Craigslist. It's just kind of there.
And why would you? I mean, there's no. It is what it is. It's basically a repository for anybody and everybody who wants to come up with fiction about anything that you can think of.
So we're hoping that one of our fans, or maybe all of you, both of you, will write this things I found online fan
about
fiction.
this podcast?
Yeah, we're hoping
Okay.
for that because
Well,
we'll read that live.
As long as I get to be the Paula Abdul.
But since Larry and I were talking about being vulnerable, it seems like almost everybody's piece of work is prefaced by some sort of disclaimer.
Yeah, it's either a disclaimer because they're shy about it.
Yeah.
Or it's a warning based upon the content. And you have an example of
Yeah,
a
so-
disclaimer.
So I found some Gunsmoke fan fiction.
Now, what prompted you to go in that direction, or was that just what you stumbled upon?
I stumbled upon it.
All right.
I was looking for something that would be steamy. So the author overblown, and they're all kind of like in on it, like with themselves, in a way that's just sort of lovely.
yeah.
So she writes, overblown author's note. This romantic fic is not realistic. It contains wagon loads of sweet lovin' and UST, unresolved sexual tension to those uninitiated in FF jargon, FF being fan fiction.
Yeah.
So if you are put off your feet by either flights of fancy or smut biscuits dripping with butter and honey, vamoose while you still got the chance. Gun smokers, don't say I didn't warn ya. I'm partial to my Matt and Kitty sweet and hot.
Oh, yeah.
Now, like she should just stop there.
And by the way,
That was-
changing my Twitter handle to Smut Biscuits right now. Damn.
Matt and Kitty sweet and hot.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so I'm just going to read a couple of passages
Okay,
from,
great.
because you'll get the idea.
Yeah.
The aging lawman gazed up at the bewitching moon waxing very near its climax. Wispy black clouds scudding across the etched pearly surface. It hung, silently, eloquent, in the night sky, accompanied by a mute chorus of countless glimmering stars. A sight he'd never wearied of in all his years of travel on the western plains.
Wow.
Staring up at the night sky, chewing idly on a thumbnail, with one elbow propping up his head, Matt lay wondering what Kitty Russell was doing right at that particular moment. As was his customary habit when he was traveling the lonely grasslands, he was missing her something fierce tonight.
Wow.
So he catches up with her at the Long Branch later on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
Tell me more.
spoiler alert.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Does it get smut biscuity from here on out?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Matt pulled her chair out, grabbed his hat, and as usual placed a hand in the small of her back as they walked companionably the short distance to the bar. Right away, Matt realized something was amiss. Kitty felt different. Something really was missing. Those multitudinous layers of ladies' armor of various and sundry thicknesses that usually stood as a barrier between Matt's hand and Kitty's feminine charms.
Are you saying she wasn't wearing her bustle? she was all natural
His
underneath
eyes-
her gingham dress.
Yes. His eyes widened. He detected no bustle.
Yes, I knew it.
No petticoats, no corset. As far as he could tell, my oh my, she felt so soft, with nothing between his hand and Kitty's warm skin but a thin layer of satin. It sent his imagination soaring. Top that, Morgan.
Oh, I don't think I can. All I can tell you is that when I got to the site you're talking about, which, by the way, is fanfiction.net,
Oh, yeah.
I decided I would just kind of search, again, the first thing that came to my head. And so here from the category of fan fiction for the Flintstones, here's the introduction. Now, I'm not going to read much of this. I'll give you a little bit. But yeah, this is the Flintstones in Dazed and Confused. Not, by the way, a mashup of the Richard Linklater movie, as much as I was hoping. Here's the description. Wilma Flintstone and Betty Rupple find their satisfaction elsewhere than their lazy husbands, only to face the consequences a few months later. Now,
Swinging Flintstones.
now here's what you're thinking is like, Flintstones got it going on, right? Until you get to the next line.
Uh-oh.
Rated mature for some bestiality. Yeah.
Oh.
So basically, what the story is, and here's, and you remember the
Poor
Flintstones.
Dino.
The
Was it
Flintstones-
consensual?
By the way, you're right. It was Dino and Wilma, Yeah, it turned out. See, and the whole story. You know how the Flintstones was filled with like these goofy sight gags and puns, and there were prehistoric. There were pterodactyls that were controlling mechanical things.
Mm-hmm.
There is literally none of that in the story. It is written like a straight. There is one pun, and it starts out, "Wilma!" Fred Flintstone shouted as he ate the last of his popcorn while watching the Super Boulder on TV.
That's the best they could do.
Yeah. I do have one other thing I want to mention. I went and looked at the whole kind of list of different categories on fanfiction.net just to kind of see the varying degrees of which people will find something to write fan fiction about. And I just clicked on the movie section. And they have them based upon what has the most what has the most stories based upon it and what has the least.
That's how it's sorted.
So what would you guys think is the number one most written about fan fiction movie of all time? Just shout it out. Or
Star Wars.
He's right. Star Wars.
Star Wars. John Maddox.
John
with the
is
win.
correct. Star Wars number one, and the number was astronomical. Now, toward the end, there's just a long list of movies that just have one story written about
Like
them.
Petticoat Junction.
It runs the gamut. I'll give you 3 examples from the bottom of the list. Fan fiction written about Captain EO, the 3D Michael Jackson movie shown only at Disneyland. The 10 Commandments. Can't imagine what was going on there. And Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo.
We have to up those numbers. Let's get to work.
Who wants to write the next chapter of Deuce Bigalow fan fiction? Anybody?
Gentlemen, when did you become aware of fan fiction, and or do you read or partake?
I'm actually not aware of it, so I haven't partaken.
Oh, so John, you've got some work to do.
Yeah.
I bet because your son is very into Legos and Bionicles. I bet there's some Bionicle fan fiction.
I gotta think there's Lego fan fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Drew? Drew's nodding yes to everything. Apparently, if we needed an expert, we should have talked to him in the first place.
We should have just gone straight to Drew.
now he's denying it. Sure.
I became aware of fan fiction when I was a student at UC Santa Barbara. A professor actually did a lecture on it in my media studies class.
Yeah.
And I guess the first fan fiction ever was actually Star Trek.
The Bible. Somebody wrote a little. Sorry.
It was Star Trek fan fiction.
Yeah, that makes sense.
With Kirk and Spock.
Homoerotic Star Trek fan fiction.
I was going to guess Uhura.
So is it just on that one site, or is it?
Oh, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere,
right?
yeah,
There are places for it. This just happens to be probably the long-standing internet, again, repository.
Yeah, and it's leaked its way into YouTube, and a lot of people have created theater inspired by fan fiction, and
yes.
we have a link to play for you. And this is the site that I found is, I think it's called Bad Fan Fiction. And this is fan fiction theater, bad Twilight fan fiction. Take it away. This is perhaps someone who is not a native English speaker had created this fan fiction.
Twilight fan fiction by a real person. Twilight of Sunfall. Autor's notes. This is an Twilight fan fictive. It is be based on requestion from someone from Triss site. Please enjoy it, read it, and make more suggestions. Chapter 1. Zombies attacks Edward. Edward Voss goes on the place near where Voss Bella's house home, and he looked it at to the sunfall and say, that is Twilightoning, and something going to happen soon. But what? He said to no one, because he has bad feelings of it all. Just then he saw zombies. We eat yous, Edward Cules. And Edward Cullen said, you can try to do that and karate them in their hearts. But there was more zombie guys there too. We will eat it, you one, the zombies yelled to Edvarf. But Edward used his vampire superpowers to kill them. But there was too many zombie guys, so he has to run to Otter Place. Oh no, they is going to kill Belle too, no! Then Edward said he would have to find help, but soon before things is too late. chapter 2.
Okay, we
Okay.
can
I think
pull
we
out
get
of
it.
that one.
Or
So
does he?
who created this YouTube so we can give a shout out to it? Does it say?
You got it, Thomas? Anybody?
I have
Drew?
JT Sex Kick.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Please like and subscribe.
Because internet.
So I'm not sure. That could have just been like a critical spell check error in.
I wonder, can we check and see if that was it Twilight fanfiction?
They
It was
seem to
Twilight
spell-
fanfiction, but written in J.R.R. Tolkien's Elvish or something. I don't know.
All right, because they seem to spell Twilight differently every time. Sometimes it was
Twilight, yeah.
Twilligated.
There's clearly a V and W transposition
Yeah,
there.
transposition. Okay.
Okay.
All right, and then we found. Well, obviously, the next search that I did was for Trump fan fiction, because why not? So this is by Elijah Daniel. Daniel is trash. I think he should think more of himself.
Oh, wow.
It all started one fateful afternoon in summer 2012. I was working as a bellboy at the Trump Hotel in Hong Kong on an internship program. It was marvelous. I came from a very small town in Michigan, and this was my first time in a big city. I loved everything about it. It was all I could have ever dreamed of, and more. But little did I know it was all about to change. I was stacking someone's tacky luggage when the door behind me swept open. My loins trembled as the scent of toupee adhesive and spray tan swept through my nasal cavity. I wanted nothing more than to turn around and see the golden god behind these scents. But I couldn't move. I was frozen. There was a tap on my shoulder. "Young man," the voice said. I thought to myself, oh my God, could this be him? There was only one way to be sure. I gathered all of my strength and turned around. Was I hallucinating? This couldn't be real. It was him. It was Donald. He stood there in front of me, like a tall stallion, with his oily orange skin glistening in the sunlight, as if he were a soggy Cheeto. His hair unkempt and messy, like a gorgeous rat's nest. He was beautiful. More beautiful than I could have ever dreamed. Yes, sir, I said, nervously. I need you to bring these bags up to my room, he said, sternly, like a grandfather upset that a news broadcast interrupted Jeopardy. His voice warped around my body like a queso around a smothered burrito. I was unable to speak. What is this feeling I'm having? I forced myself to speak, but only the word "what" would come out. I don't have all fucking day, you loser, he said next. I'm so sorry, sir, I whimpered as I grabbed for his bags. I'll get these up to you. And that's when it happened. He looked back. He caught me staring at his donk. He could have me immediately had me fired for this, but he didn't. Instead, he smiled and continued to hop.
I'm sorry. Was he staring at his donk?
That's what it says here.
Okay.
Hop onto the elevator. What is happening? Am I losing my mind? I didn't come here to find love, but did love find me? And you'll have to go to this website.
I'm guessing
to
the
read
answer
more.
is yes.
This was on Wattpad.
Yeah.
So
Now, who wrote that? Sean Spicer?
that was Sean Spicer. Elijah Daniel is trash.
Okay.
And his disclaimer had to do with that he insulted me for reading it because he was drunk when he wrote it. And so it all kind of makes sense.
It is your fault.
Yeah, it pretty much makes much more sense once you think about it that way. All right, so fan fiction, we recommend it.
Yeah,
heartily.
I think so, yeah.
Anyone here subscribe to Nextdoor?
Oh, boy, yeah.
That'd be me. I'm on it.
John, so it's mostly, I think, people with a house rather than someone living in an apartment.
I think you're right about that. I mean, I've been on it. I can't say how many are in apartments and not, but it's more of a neighborhood.
It seems like, more
It's
of
like a neighborhood watch.
Home neighborhood kind of thing, connection. And it's kind of a brilliant idea of having a way to connect your immediate neighborhood together, because it can be, when used properly, a very positive and helpful thing. Yeah,
it's an excellent tool. It's sort of like neighborhood watch meets technology and kind of explodes in your face.
Yeah.
And you may or may not want that.
It starts out with good intentions. Hey, can you recommend a good roofer? Hey, do you know somebody who can get a skunk out underneath my attic?
Did someone lose a chicken?
It's like anything on the internet. It's all depending on the users in your particular group.
Oh, yeah.
So there might be more of those kind of crazy people that are posting things every couple of hours, like, I think I saw a burglar. You know?
Right.
No, I that's interesting
There's
you say
a lot
that,
of that.
because I have a very lots of times it just becomes commentary, and it's like Tourists not stopping at the stop signs. We have a home in lovely Cambria, California, along the Central Coast. Here's one from Tom in Lodge Hill, and it's titled, provocatively, Thievery in Cambria. And here's the first line. Last week, someone stole our garden rake from our front yard. Yeah, that's Cambria for you. This incident, along with the lowlife who picked up my prescription glasses at the Cookie Crock, that's our market, indicates that Cambria is no different from the major cities where I lived prior to moving here 14-plus years ago. Yes, folks, we live among thieves and lowlifes who will steal from you any chance they get. Now, let me recap here. Garden rake,
Right.
prescription glasses,
Gone.
crime wave.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's all it's
And-
going to take.
But I think he arrived with an attitude, and he wanted his worldview proven.
Yeah,
And
but
so
apparently for 14-plus years in Cambria, not a thing has gone missing. And
Yeah.
suddenly, it's all,
He
it's going
left
to crap.
these tempting items in plain view.
Yeah.
It was like a sting operation to prove that the world is a mess. If you put your eyeglasses that close to my nose, I'm going to grab them.
Yeah.
He planted the evidence.
He did. So
Wow, there's
just
a whole
this morning,
conspiracy now. Okay.
just this morning, I saw this on my own Nextdoor, and the conversation that ensued was pretty charming. Okay. Suspicious Clowns is the title.
Jeez.
And I think it should be the title of more things. You know?
Wasn't that a big Elvis hit in the 70s? We can't go on together. The suspicious clown.
Suspicious clown.
Sorry.
Oh, Larry.
All right.
Still my favorite disc jockey. Today, while I was working in my garage with the door open about 6:40 p.m., my dog barked, and as I swung around, see, it's almost like fan fiction.
It's totally. I'm already wrapped
Is she
up.
going to find Donald Trump?
Yes.
As I swung around to
He caught me staring at his donk.
to see what, there was some kid, surprised from her barking, turning around and running back down the 100-foot-plus driveway. I quickly looked at my surveillance monitor, which is looking at the driveway entrance, and saw a total of 4 clowns running away. The weird thing, they were all dressed in these matching black with white vertical striped get-ups with hoodies, school uniforms, ? They dashed into this champagne-looking 4-door and left quickly. This is on the 3600 block Glen Ridge Drive. Pretty strange. Be on the lookout. Thanks! !
Wow.
So,
Black and white striped. So it was a.
how is that clown-like?
I don't know.
Where's she getting clowns? It
well,
sounds like prisoners.
she might have just been calling them names, but you know.
Oh.
I perhaps like a renegade band of ne'er-do-well referees.
To me, it sounds like an a cappella group. I don't know why she's so frightened. Was there any 4-part harmony?
I don't know. 4 matching outfits running to I mean, I guess I would be concerned as well. If they had been actual clowns and like 1,000 of them had piled into one car.
Well, you're ahead of the thread that ensued.
Oh, no.
Tom McNulty writes, was it a small, tiny car? Harry Verderci writes, were they carrying clown horns?
Yep.
Wendy Litvak writes, big shoes?
Yep.
Harry writes, ever since Proposition 297.2/9, the California referendum by Senators Barnum and Bailey on the closure of circuses, it seems that we have been inundated with out-of-work clowns. They roam the streets looking to break into kitchens to steal cream pies and into garages searching for unicycles. If you see any clowns, please report it to Fashion Square Security Patrol. And then Paul Shapiro wrote, this is the greatest Nextdoor thread ever.
Oh, you want to bet?
Can you top that?
Oh, yeah. Here's one where the subject line is fellow nudist. Hi, my fellow nudist. I am wondering if there are any other fellow nudists here in the area. I thought I would reach out and see if anyone wants to have a nude movie night here at my home. I want to make sure that everyone knows, ... all caps, this is not a sex party. This is for legit nudist. Why doesn't he pluralize it? I don't get it. This is for legit nudist who wants to simply enjoy the bonding of the nudist community. if you know what I mean. If you would be interested, simply email me. That way your identity is not here on Nextdoor and is private. My email is talkshowpilotla@gmail.com. Cheers.
Seriously?
Yeah. By the way, let's just all riff and try and figure this out. What would a bunch of nudists watch on movie night? The Firm? I don't know.
I was just thinking that, like, one of the dangers would be, instead of, like, all of the coins kind of slipping into the couch crack, they would slip into, the ass crack.
That's what you came up with.
That's all. I don't know what movie they would watch. What movie would they watch?
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Guys?
So that was really on. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, no.
Well, what happened was...
It's not fan fiction, guys. I really did read that. And I've got his name, Steve, in Sherman Oaks.
We should give him a call.
At
If
Woodman
we
and
were
Fulton.
a better show, we would be calling him. We'd have him on the phone right now.
Yeah.
If we actually had done our research.
No, if we were a better show, we would have Steve sitting right here on this couch.
Naked.
No clothes. And pitching.
Ass crack to couch crack. Bring it.
Absolutely.
He could get some friends that way.
Yeah, well,
I think
exactly.
so.
He should just pitch. He should have posted a picture. Because now Larry and I used to work with an engineer at Kiss FM that we called Bob the Nudist. This was because Bob was a nudist. Now, he wore clothes to Kiss.
Yes.
But, and I don't know, Larry, if you were as much the recipient as I was, but I was invited almost every weekend to his nudist colony.
No, I guarantee you got an invite 100% more of the time than I did.
Which kind of like flies in the face of his insistence that this had nothing to do with nudity and everything to do with community. Because he should have just been sending out memos and inviting everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a big leap here. I'm not part of the nudist community. And I
Yet.
have not yet kind of been ingrained to the ways of the nudist. And I hate to make a generalization about nudists or semi-nudists, but I'm going to say that if you're in a place where you get together regularly with no clothes on, it's a little bit about the nudity. It's a little bit about the nudity.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little bit about seeing, bare boobies and donks.
Right. So I never went, and I don't know, how much I would have enjoyed it, but
Well, I can tell you how much you would have enjoyed it.
not at all.
Louise arrived at Bob's party.
Oh,
Her heart palpitating.
fan fiction for me and
Well,
Bob.
I've got. It's only 9 pages.
Is there a disclaimer? What's the disclaimer?
Yes.
I wrote this.
Yes. Be ready to suddenly become an involuntary nudist once you read this.
All right, so Nextdoor. Anyone on Nextdoor, gentlemen? John? Thomas?
Any good stories to share? Any good threads that have come across?
I think I need to move to your neighborhood.
We got it all going on here.
Honestly, that was the best one I could find because most of ours is about skunks and raccoons.
Yeah, there's
And
a lot of that.
usually sending animal control to scrape one up.
Do you guys have the section where they're starting to sell stuff?
No.
Someone on mine just this morning, if you live in my neighborhood, someone is looking to buy slightly used size 8 tap shoes.
Wow. We did get one once, free toilet.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, free.
I don't know if it was attached, though, or, there's always, free plumbing being made available. I don't know who's ripping out their old stuff. But I know that for some reason, you're here on Nextdoor talking about neighborhoods, and on the app, you're constantly getting ads in the middle for Match.com, which...
Really?
Yeah. That seems odd.
I actually haven't been on it in quite a while, so I can't say what it's like today. But usually it seems like it's people kind of making other people aware if they've seen something funny, if there's a car that's been parked in front of their house for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I got one of those white pickup truck parked behind a storefront, ready to tow it, but giving people warning. One major issue that happened this morning, about 5 hours ago, from Kitty in Lodge Hill. Help! SOS for Hummingbird. Please, whoever has a butterfly net, can they please come to my home? I have a Hummer that is trapped on my enclosed porch, etc. And then, a short time later, the post followed, cancel hummingbird emergency.
So he found his way out.
Apparently it all worked out.
Those wings.
I'd like to think there was a happy ending.
John has hummingbirds in his backyard. They have little feeders.
That's true.
Yeah. Then he get trapped?
I don't think so. They like my wife. She goes out there.
Who doesn't?
They kind of flock to her.
I mean, she's pretty great.
Yeah.
So how's the Facebook Live looking, Thomas?
It's looking good. It's looking very good.
Yeah.
So are we almost to the end?
Yeah, I mean, we can end anytime we want because it's a podcast.
Well, I think we should wrap up with probably the thing that we tasked Drew to give us the best send-off, going back to Face
Joe
and Hole.
was actually here.
Oh, Joe is here. Joe Cipriano. Thank you, dear leader. We hope that you'll be with us next week.
Show it again. Oh, my God.
See?
Oh, that's beautiful.
See, even Drew can do it.
Oh, see, this is Drew is the best. What are you talking? See, this is perfect because Joe will never ever miss the show because now he knows that we will attack with fire and fury.
Yeah. or as I like to call him, little incy beansy teensy rocket man. So we're gonna have to use that for the podcast listeners. We're gonna have to use
that's our thumbnail.
Joe Jun Eel as our thumbnail for this episode.
Kim Jong. See, because
Kim
I think
Kim
Kim is the last name, but it comes at the beginning.
Oh, let's not get technical.
Right, so it could be Kim Jong Joe.
Kim Jong Joe.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Drew, Francois, John Maddox, Thomas Hubble, Larry Morgan, Joe. We missed you, Lisa. We missed you, and I'm Louise Palanker. We are Things I Found Online. Please like and subscribe. We love you, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
So long, smut biscuits.